Hi, I'm Andy Cloyd, Museum Director here at the National Veterans Memorial Museum in Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to our June Story Spotlight. We recently had a conversation with Matt Pech, U.S. Army veteran based in Southern California. Matt served in the Army the last 15 years, 12 of which were in Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha, ODA. On the ODA, he served as a senior engineer, advanced demolition specialist, master breacher, sniper, technical intelligence specialist, and range master, just to name a few. During that time, Matt experienced 9 deployments, 4 of which were in combat rotations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Matt is passionate about veteran centric nonprofits, wellness, fitness, PTSD, and veteran suicide prevention. He's also the founder of Operational Athlete and Ruck for Veterans. Matt recently sat down with our own Megan McGowan to discuss his veteran story in this month's Story Spotlight.
2005, I was 18 years old, couldn't afford college, really had no direction, no scholarships, nothing like that. I was working a part-time job and ran into a friend's brother who had joined the Army, and he's like, it's paying for my college, it's a great life, I get a paycheck twice a month. I was like, I just need something. I need to get off the streets, get a job and find my own way. So I went to a recruiter and I was like, what's the fastest way to get out of here? He's like, infantry. I was like, all right, well, sounds good. I don't even know what that is really, but sounds good. He's like, yeah, you'll probably end up in Iraq, after a year. I was like, sure, sounds good. Sounds like fun. I rode motorcycles and all that. So I was like, adrenaline sounds good. Let's go. So a month later, I was on my first airplane trip to Fort Benning, Georgia, for the infantry. Finished infantry school, went to airborne school, and the second time I was on airplane, I was jumping out of it. So
wow,
that's kind of the beginning of my story, and then from there went on to, once I got into airborne school, I kind of wanted to keep going higher and higher, and I started figuring out what the Army was about, special operations was. I really had no idea. I watched movies growing up, but they had no real idea because they didn't have anybody mentoring me with it. So I kept going and kept going. Actually got my Green Beret for combat tours, 5 non-combat tours to countries like Bangladesh twice, Southeast Asia, Africa, Eastern Europe, all over, and had some great experiences. It was amazing.
Did September 11th have anything to do with that decision, or was your decision purely based on, needing direction and trying to find that thing for yourself?
It was, I think, primarily on just trying to find direction, trying to find myself. I didn't have a father growing up for the most part. My dad was in and out of jail for multiple reasons. So I didn't really have too much guidance. I had my uncle, my stepdad eventually, and my grandfather. But having that man close to you to kind of guide you at my age was kind of tough. So I needed some guidance, and the military really helped me out with it. Once I got in, it set in. Like September 11th, and what happened to this country really became a part of my life. I mean, to this day, like I can't watch any of the footage around the towers or any of those movies, that talk about it, because I just get very emotional because of all the sacrifice I've seen over the years, and sacrificing myself as well, as far as like my youth, my mind, my body. Yeah, I can't watch those anymore because it definitely sets in once you put that uniform on and you put that flag on your shoulder, that on your head, it's go time.
Yeah, that's really powerful. What values do you think that you learned or were instilled in you from joining the service? What if there was like 2 or 3 key values or takeaways that you got from being in the Army? What would those be, and how do you live them out now, I guess?
There'd definitely be a few. It'd be integrity, loyalty, and selfless service, which are part of the Army values, but they're also very, very dear to my heart. The selfless service, putting yourself before others, the work I do with vets, the work I do with the community, with people that didn't even join, but still suffer from PTSD. Just hearing them talk about their stories, that things that happened in their life. Um, just trying to give back to my community, my people, my family, whoever. The
Yeah.
military definitely taught me that, and seeing the countries we went to, working with these third world countries and these little kids, and war has a couple different faces. There's the aggressive, violent side, but there's also the side where we're there to truly help people and help change their life. Um, I've seen villages where the girls couldn't go to school. Teachers were being murdered by the Taliban, and we came in, we established ourselves, we established some sort of military in that town, and now little girls can go to school. And yeah, definitely like putting others before me is something that the military taught me, and then integrity. Just always doing the right thing at all times. Especially now, I'm a police officer now.
Yeah.
All eyes are on us. You don't always have somebody watching you, but you got to do the right thing always. At home, driving around, whatever it is, and trying to instill those values into like my son and some of the young guys that I mentor to just always be honest. And then, lastly, with loyalty is that brotherhood. Um, that's why I do like these Veteran Tuesday workouts, Ruck for Vets. All this is because I want to keep that loyalty to the men that, like I said, sacrifice their youth, sacrifice their bodies, their minds, stay loyal to them, because when you get out, there's the VA, which is great. It's a great system to help you medically, mentally. And there's a lot of guys out here now that are like, special forces guys that are creating these events and bringing guys back together to establish this brotherhood once they get out. Because a lot of guys feel lost. A lot of guys have told me, like, I felt lost when I got out. I need to get back to people who have similar experience and a like-minded attitude. And yeah, so loyalty is definitely my values I've taken from the military.
How did it feel to transition out? And, you know, did you feel supported? And how did you, I guess, create the community around yourself?
It took time. I always tell guys, because they say, I'm lost and struggling, whatever. And I'm like, there's no right time to adapt. It's going to either take you a week, a month, a year, 5 years, or you'll just never adapt. Um, for me, it definitely took some time. I got back from my last deployment in 2016. It was in 2016. I got back, 2017. And I think it all kind of caught up with me, to be honest. I got into a very bad habit with alcohol. The rage was kind of there. The depression was there. I was struggling, but I wouldn't admit it. So like trying to adapt to normal life was hard. I was married at the time, this eventually led to a divorce. We're great friends now. We're like the best of friends, but at the time, it's very hard, because as a man, as a soldier, as a veteran, special forces, Green Beret, like it's hard to say like I'm struggling. You don't want to, like, you got
To ask for help, yeah.
I'm a badass. I don't know. So for me, like it took years. Like it took a couple years to really get adapted to being back home, knowing that I wasn't going to go see my team anymore, knowing that I wasn't going to go on these trips anymore, no more training, no more putting my uniform on. Um, I was in the guard after this, so like, I'd still go back like, every couple months and do my guard time, and then once 2019 came around, it kind of stopped going, and it just kind of floated out till 2020. And it was tough. I mean, yeah, getting back to normal life is tough, because, like I said, you lose that brotherhood, and not a lot of people understand you. You can have a conversation with people and tell them a story, but you always get it's not normal people's fault, the questions they ask, but a lot of times they ask questions that are very triggering. Now that I go through therapy, now that I've focused on my mental health, I understand what these triggers are. And people say, oh, you ever killed somebody? Oh, yeah. Who are those guys on your wrist? Talking about, just give me a second. I'll tell you what I want to tell you when I want to tell you it. Just
Right.
don't ask any questions. But now I'm okay with it. Now I have a response. But back then it'd be like, why did you just ask me that? Like, what do you think? It was hard to talk with people, people from back home, my friends I grew up with, the
Yeah.
friends and family I knew me since I was a kid, very innocent, never pulled the trigger. And yeah, it definitely takes time, and definitely happy to do something now, because it's amazing to be able to help other guys transition now, because I can see exactly where they're at and kind of coach them, because I've been there, I've done that. I've been to the lowest of the low, in my eyes at least. Almost took my own life a couple times, and that was very powerful to say out loud, initially. And now I tell people, like, yeah, it's hard, and the things you go through, the adrenaline that you constantly have when you're in, and then you just get back and it's just nothing. And you don't know what to do with yourself.
What was your pathway forward to getting better? And how do you do that, every day? Because it's not something that you get over necessarily. It's a new way of life, from what I understand. So how do you live now,
It definitely is. I found things that I physically and mentally felt better doing. So I guess, yeah, I can go to the park and throw a football around with my buddies, but it doesn't really make me feel better now. I can, watch a movie at home, sleep on the couch, whatever. I found things like gardening. I found things like going to the beach, getting in the water. It was something I did as a kid. I surfed my whole life, and I was always at the beach. And I realized with working with my therapist, he was like, dude, every time you talk about the water, you perk up, because they're reading body language. That's what therapists do. They read your body language. They see how you perk up. You talk about certain things.
Yeah.
Every time you talk about the water and surfing or working out at the beach, your mood just explodes. And I'm sure you can see it right now. But
yeah, I can see it.
so like that's like my therapy. That's why I do these beach workouts, and I go down there, and it helps me. Physical fitness became my first form of therapy, where I actually seeked in-person therapy, talk therapy. So I started this project, the Operational Athlete, in late 2017, right as I was going through the thick of it, and it began to take off. Where I had guys reaching out to me, like asking for guidance, asking for help, and I was like, okay, this is going somewhere. I don't know. I created the page just to see if people like my workouts, and how it's kind of become like a veteran platform to motivate, help, and that kind of helped me, to be honest. Like helping other people helped me help myself. Um, and then I got a life coach, and she pushed me in the right direction. She pushed me to the VA. I was too scared to do the VA. I was like, I don't want to do this. I tried it before. It takes forever. She's like, just try to give it another shot. And now it's good to go. Now I'm in there, seeking help, all that. And then she got me into therapy, back to therapy. I had tried before. I didn't like it, but she got me back to therapy. And yeah, kind of like using like her guidance, her techniques. I kind of use the same ones when I work with vets, and say like, there's so many different things out there. You could do meditation. I tried breath work. Um, there's a lot of things that help.
Yeah.
My buddy Shane Bitko, who I'm actually flying out tonight to Houston to see him. He does breath work with veterans. He's a vet, and wow, that was life changing. Like breath work, I I was bawling.
Just learning how to breathe again, right?
Yeah, it's simple things. Like he's taught me just just how to, when you get stressed out, somebody cuts you off in traffic, just how to just take a couple breaths and just calm yourself down, rather than get frustrated and uh, get angry. So yeah, but there's a lot out there, and like I would encourage vets to not be scared to try something new, and just remember, those things that they loved growing up, whether you grew up in the mountains or you grew up in the desert or you liked motocross or whatever. Those things you did as a kid that made you happy will make you happy as an adult too. It's life changing to
Yeah.
get back to where you began.
How does this affect family and friends? Should family members also seek help?
Yeah, I remember my mother, coming at me like, Matt, what are you doing? Matt, you smell like alcohol. Matt, you driving, Matt? Can we maybe take a break or something like that? And my ex-wife, like, sorry, my dog's barking. My ex-wife, yeah, she definitely struggled. We just had a baby, she was going through her own thing, and I was going through something at the same time, and she definitely took a very big mental hit from it, as far as like having to deal with me and have a newborn at the same time. And, like when guys are deployed, like your family's suffering too. So there definitely is like, a secondary PTSD when it comes to family members. And everybody's different because everybody has their own childhood, their own backstory, life experiences. So, like for someone like me, I had a lot of trauma growing up as a child, like domestic violence, things like that makes me more prone to PTSD. And, you know, family members had similar stories, and seeing me struggle, trying to get me there definitely affected them for sure, 100%. Um, and as far as like people going through this or family members going through this, I wish there was more support for family members to understand kind of what we're going through. And yeah, there's a ton of things on the internet, a ton of organizations, but when it comes down to it, you really just need to talk to somebody. Like I've talked to so many of my family members, like, hey, we need to talk about this. Like maybe he's going through something right now. Maybe we put his gun in the safe and just keep it away from him, something like that.
Right.
I've done these challenges where I challenge guys like, hey, let's not drink for a month. Like I still drink. Don't get me wrong, but like I'll do a month with a guy I see struggling to show like support him. And maybe that's something family members can do, like little challenges here and there, like, hey, let's do a workout challenge for the month, 100 push-ups for the month, every day for the month, or a mile a day.
Right.
Physical activity definitely affects your mental for sure, like, getting those endorphins going. And then, like I said, like the toxic things like, drinking, whatever it is, drugs, obviously family's got to step in and try to take control of that, because that is a dark road and there's no end to it. Once guys start, going downhill, that hill never stops until it just stops one day. And
Right.
there's so many guys out there that when you live by the gun, you die by the gun. And it's a strong statement, but it's so true. We see it with veteran suicides and stuff like that. It's an easy way out. So like I encourage family members to call their vets, text their vets, just give them a hug. It's amazing.
Just have conversations, right? And just be there, even if it's not to say anything. It's just to be there.
A little text message or an email, like, hey, just checking up on you, miss you. Just want you to know about you, and I'm thankful for everything you've done for us. Something like that. That it's amazing. Every once in a while I try to post a post that says reach out to a vet today and tell them you love them. You never know. Like you could save somebody's life today just with
Right.
I love you, or a hug, or a call, or text.
So the next question here is, how does community factor into wellness? And again, we kind of go back to this, how did you build a community for yourself after service? What does that mean to you, operational athlete, and then also Ruck for veterans?
There's more veterans out there than most vets realize. This is, one of the longest wars. This is the longest war in history. Like, there's so many young guys out there that have been in, combat or not combat, whatever, but we're in the military in our communities. And I've only just realized this over the last 2 years. And I've been doing this project for a while now, like it's 4. In the last 2 years, our veteran network has really expanded. I'm like, wow, you live down the street. You're right here. You're right here. We grew up here. We went to the same high school. All this. We're everywhere. And it's not just veterans. It's people who support veterans too. So my Veteran Tuesday workouts, it started with just inviting vets down to work out. I train them. We'd have a good time. We'd talk during these runs, these workouts. We'd all sit down and have breakfast afterwards. And it's expanded, now with my buddy Will Jones, who was one of the first veterans to come with me. He does workouts Wednesday and Thursday. And then
Awesome.
My other buddy, Coach Al, he does veteran boxing on Fridays. So like we've created this network where like we're all working out pretty much almost every day together. And it's gone from veterans to first responders to anybody now. And I was talking to the guys on Tuesday this week. Two of our guys, they're chefs that came out this last week. No veteran experience or first responder or anything like that. But I was like, this was Veteran Tuesday. But I need my vets to understand that community is bigger than that. There's people who support you. There's people around you that love you. Yeah, we get each other. That's great. But you also need to immerse yourself with everyone else. We can't segregate ourselves from, normal civilians. We need to be a part of this community. We are a part of this community. And there's people that support us out there. So now Veteran Tuesdays, we still call it Veteran Tuesdays, but now it's just everybody can come. Who wants to come? Same reason, to support each other mentally, physically, talk, network, help each other out as much as possible.
Yeah.
My guys have their own businesses. They're all like, a few guys that come out have veteran-owned businesses, and we try to help each other with whatever we can, whether it's like charity events or just going out and reposting something. All these guys come out to Ruck for Vets. And I started Ruck for Vets because, like I said earlier, like I missed that brother. I missed certain things about it, like just getting a rucksack on and just walking with my team, for 12 miles, 5 miles, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that. And I was like, I getting out, I wanted to get back. And in 2017, I knew I was on my way out. I did a few more years, but I knew I was on my way out. So I was like, I need to give back. I was in the Guard, so I wasn't as active as I could be. So I just wanted to get people together, throw on a rucksack, which a lot of people didn't even understand what it was, and just pretty much walk together. So there's a lot of events out there where guys like, they race with rucksacks, all that. But like my main thing is like we start together, we finish together. We have people 60, we have men, women, children, we have dogs, we got whoever, disabled people. We're all starting and we're all finishing together no matter what. That's what every time I give this speech in the beginning, I'm like, this is how we work. I worked in a team element, and we are all now a team. We're all now a community. And we do that, and we have a raffle and giveaways and all that. And it's just a fun time. I usually run back up and down the line. I try to make it a point to talk to at least every single person that comes. This last time we had like 60 plus. So I was doing a lot of running. But it's growing. Every year it doubles in size. So
are you focusing on anything particular with Ruck for Vets this upcoming year?
So I'm flying out to Houston tonight to
Nice.
with some guys, and they're going to help coordinate a big one we're doing in Houston, Texas.
Awesome.
It's going to be late September, and it's going to be awesome. So it's going to be hosted by Alpha Elite Performance in support of the Green Beret Foundation, which is a great foundation. They've helped so many of my brothers, including myself. And then I'll be leading the event, which will be great. So we're all partnering up, all veteran-owned businesses and nonprofits partnering up, and we're hoping to get like 1,000 people out there walking, which will be insane if we can get that. I really hope we can.
Wow.
So we're going to scout the trail this weekend, and hopefully it'll be good to go.
Wow.
That's a big event for this year. And then around Veterans Day here in Southern California, I always host my local event. So we'll start marketing that soon and trying to get guys out. And right now we're just like a fundraising platform for other nonprofits, but the plan eventually is to solidify this as a 501c3. We're in the process right now, but solidify it as that and do more than just these events. I want to do more events. And I also want to do a project where we create rucksacks for all veterans. So I have two in mind. So I want to create a rucksack for homeless vets. This is donated boots, donated backpacks, rucksacks, whatever. And in here we throw hygiene items. We throw a blanket, we throw some food, maybe whatever, some gift cards, whatever we can get, from donors, obviously, in there, things that'll help them with whatever they want to do. Because, here in LA, we have like 10,000 homeless veterans, and a lot of them choose to be, so I'm not going to force them to do anything they don't want to do. But if I can bring them something that'll bring comfort, maybe that hood back, I think that'll hopefully just make a difference in at least their day, if not their life. And then on the other side, I'll make packs for vets that just can't afford them. A lot of vets struggle to find jobs because they either don't want to work the mediocre job or they're just having a trouble transitioning. So I want to create these packs for them that have, information on jobs, this and that, or just like gear to like go camping and stuff like that. Like, so, give them some rucksacks and some new boots that they can just get back to being physical again. So that's the plan for Ruck for Veterans moving forward.
The statistic that we always hear is this: 22 veterans a day we are losing to suicide. What do you want non-military? What do you want civilians to know about PTSD experienced by veterans and active duty military?
So I'll start off with 22 a day. That's just suicide. I mean, that's not overdosing. That's not everything else that guys go through. That's not attempted suicide. I mean, thousands of vets are suffering daily, and probably tens of thousands, 100,000. As far as going through it, it's not easy. Like I said, the triggers earlier, there's so many triggers in our lives. Like I said, everybody knows what I've done. Everyone knows me. It's Matt. You just moved back. He's a Green Beret. So the first question people always ask me, oh yeah, so how was it? This is that. And immediately, the bad always comes first to my mind. The good, because you don't want to tell people about the bad. You don't want to tell people that you had a 22-year-old kid die in your arms after doing 30 minutes of chest compressions and doing everything you could to save his life. You don't want to tell people that you put your friends up with a shovel because their bodies were so burnt and blown up. Because people don't want to hear that. They want to hear the Hollywood story. They want to hear the badass missions. But when they ask you how your experience was, that's usually the first thing that comes to my head. It's negative, like the hardship. And I think just like for everyone out there, just realize that that's fine. It's not a burden I want to put on anybody else. It's something I work through on my own, through therapy, through physical fitness. But just realize that a lot of these guys, when they tell you their stories, they also, if you see them pause, maybe take a look, not say anything for a second, they're probably thinking about something else. So just be thankful. Just like I said earlier, a hug, a thank you, a phone call, a text, an email goes so long. I remember being overseas, like an email, a care package. Those are just like the best thing you could get when you're over there. Because, you get a package from grandma with a letter that says, I love you. Some little trinkets that, she used to keep in her cupboard, the things that remind you of home, stuff like that. Like, that was awesome. And then the next day, someone's trying to take your life and you're taking theirs instead. And then, you go back to your room and throw on some music, watch a movie. It's just, that's normal life for guys when they're deployed, 6 months or 18 months. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent now. But
no, it's okay. It's okay. It's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but we have in the museum a couple of, display cases, and inside of them are objects and artifacts and things like that. But throughout time, modern time mostly, of just things that people have kept or things that were meaningful to them while they were away. And I'm just thinking of this one mom. She was so cool, I guess. She would send her letters to her son, but she sent it with a trivia question on it. And then the following letter had the answer to that question, and then a new question to answer. So that was like one of their ways to have fun and stay in touch. And it was just really beautiful. So you just reminded me of that. So that was really nice.
No, I love that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it was cool. It was
My
very
grandmother
cool.
used to always handwrite her letters. There was no email. She would always handwrite them. Before she had a stroke, she's still alive, but before she had a
Oh,
stroke, she can't write anymore. She can't speak anymore. But I still have these letters where I can hear her voice, which is amazing.
oh, that's
I
beautiful.
have these letters and very dear to her.
This has been really amazing. You've been so incredible sharing with us today. We really thank you. Is there anything else that you would want to tell us, or is there anyone in the service who's inspired you to seek help, to get better? Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, I think everything I do revolves around, the guys I've lost, Eric Iman, Nick Shepardy, like great guys I served with overseas that, are no longer with us. So like everything I do, you know, definitely makes me want to, you know, keep going. You know, Doug Riney, that's the kid that, passed away in 2016. I dedicate it all to them. So everything I do is for them. Absolutely.